the early years of the 20th century, the world was entering a period of profound political upheaval. Empires were collapsing, nationalism was rising, and new scientific approaches to society and governance were beginning to emerge. It was during this turbulent moment, in 1912, that Abdu'l-Baha, the son of Baha'u'llah and the leading figure of the Baha'i faith, traveled to the United States. He came not as a politician, nor as a partisan figure, but as a moral teacher addressing the deeper foundations of human society. His audiences included scholars, clergy, social reformers, and ordinary citizens. And in one of his most significant talks, delivered in New York at the home of Juliet Thompson, he spoke about the nature of political power, the misuse of authority, and the principles required for healthy governance. Today, the word political often evokes conflict, polarization, misinformation, ideological battles, and the noise of partisan struggle. This is the political atmosphere, the emotional, reactive, and often divisive surface of public life. But beneath this atmosphere lies something very different: political science, the systematic, evidence-based study of how societies are governed, how institutions function, and what conditions lead to justice, stability, and human flourishing. Just as medical science studies the health of the human body, political science studies the health of the body politic. And just as illness is not medicine, political dysfunction is not political science. When Abdu'l-Baha spoke about kings, rulers, justice, oppression, and the collapse of empires, he was not engaging in partisan politics. He was describing, with clarity and moral force, the scientific laws of governance, how misuse of power leads to instability, how injustice destroys nations, how prejudice and ignorance weaken societies, how education, equality, and unity strengthen them, and how the moral condition of leaders determines the fate of their people. His talk is therefore not a political speech in the modern sense. It is a lecture on the science of governance, delivered at a time when the world was desperately in need of a new understanding of political health. With this foundation in mind, let us now listen to selected portions of Abdu'l-Baha's 1912 talk at the home of Mrs. Juliet Thompson. These excerpts, presented exactly as he spoke them, illuminate the principles of just, scientific, and healthy governance, calling for attentive listening to the essential themes, insights, and guidance contained in his words.
I have spoken in the various Christian churches and in the synagogues, and in no assemblage has there been a dissenting voice. All have conceded that the teachings of Baha'u'llah are superlative in character, acknowledging that they constitute the very essence or spirit of this new age. Some have said, these teachings are not new. We have heard them before. Therefore, I will speak to you upon the distinctive characteristics of the manifestation of Baha'u'llah, and prove that from every standpoint, his cause is distinguished from all others. When Baha'u'llah appeared in Persia, all the contemporaneous religious sects and systems rose against him. His enemies were kings, rulers who could command armies and bring hundreds of thousands of soldiers into the arena of operation. These kings represented some 50 million people, all of whom were opposed to Baha'u'llah. Yet these great numbers, instead of being able to dominate him, could not withstand his wonderful personality and the power of his heavenly cause. Surrounded by enemies who were seeking his life, he never sought to conceal himself. In his spiritual might and power, he was at all times visible before the faces of men. Baha'u'llah upheld the banner of the cause of God while he was in a dungeon, addressing the kings of the earth from his prison cell, severely arraigning them for their oppression of their subjects and their misuse of power. His epistles to the Shah of Persia, the Sultan of Turkey, Napoleon III, and to the other rulers of the world are current and available. Whatever is recorded in these epistles has happened. Some prophecies came to pass after 2 years, others after 5, 10, and 20 years. The most important prophecies relative to events transpiring in the Balkans are being fulfilled at the present time. Consider how marvelous it was for a prisoner under the eye and control of the Turks to arraign so boldly the very king who was responsible for his imprisonment. Although a prisoner in a fortress, he paid no heed to these kings, but addressed them in plain and fearless language, announcing explicitly that the time would come when their sovereignty would be brought low and his own dominion be established. He said in substance, "Ere long you will find yourselves in manifest loss. Your sovereignties will be laid waste. Your empires will become a wilderness and a heap of ruins, but the standard of the cause of God will be held aloft." First among the great principles revealed by him is that of the investigation of reality. Every individual is commanded to set aside superstitious beliefs and blind imitation and investigate reality for himself. Inasmuch as the fundamental reality is one, all religions and nations will become one through investigation of reality. A second principle is the oneness of the world of humanity. Addressing all mankind, he says, "Ye are all the leaves of one tree." There are no distinctions of race in the sight of God. All are the recipients of the bounties of God. Some are defective, they must be educated. Some are sick, they must be treated. Some are asleep, they must be awakened. But all must be loved and cherished. Baha'u'llah teaches that religion must be in conformity with science and reason. If belief is opposed to reason and science, it is not worthy of acceptance. Another announcement is that religion must be the source of unity and fellowship. If it is productive of enmity and hatred, the absence of religion would be preferable. He declares that all forms of prejudice must be abandoned, and that until existing prejudices are entirely removed, the world of humanity will not attain peace. Another teaching is that there shall be perfect equality between men and women. In the kingdoms below man, the distinction between male and female is neither repressive nor restrictive. In the kingdom of mankind, this equality must likewise exist. Baha'u'llah has announced the necessity for a universal language, proclaimed that all mankind shall be educated, and taught that every soul must become fitted for some useful trade, craft, or profession by which subsistence may be assured. The teachings of Baha'u'llah are boundless in their far-reaching benefit to mankind. They are new and are not found in the religious books of the past. Therefore, it is evident that the manifestation of God in this day is distinguished from all former appearances by His majesty, His power, and the efficacy of His word.